Gonna take a sentimental journey. Gonna set my heart at ease. Gonna take a sentimental journey to renew old memories.
As the song goes, tonight we're going to take you on a sentimental journey. My name's Larry Regan, and we will be taking you through our book of memories tonight.
And my name is Denyse Gervais Regan, and this show is based on our life from the 50s to the present time.
With any bad parts left out.
And I'm just excited to be able to do my poodle skirt.
So I want you to imagine it's 1954. It's August. You can close your eyes and drift away to those happy times. We're at 25 Yarwood Street, St. Thomas. I am the third youngest of 8 children in that house. We were a sing-along family. It wasn't unusual to hear my brother Leon burst out into Billy Eckstine. I mean, never batted an eye in the house. And somewhere Ken was singing in the basement, "Oh Danny Boy." And my sisters were singing the Andrews Sisters. And coming up was my youngest, the 2 young ones, David and Janet. They were both here the other day, and I got a kick out of that. And they were starting to sing too. And so my dad had heard every current of music. He had heard swing, he heard bebop, he heard the blues. He thought he'd heard everything. So one day in August of 1954, he's seated in his newspaper chair. You know the one. And he's got his glasses on, and he's got the Times Journal, and he's relaxed. It's after work. And I go barking by him singing, "Hello-ny ding-dong, a-lang, boom, ba-do, ba-doodle-doodle-day." He looked up at me over his glasses. He gave kind of wry, resigned look, and he said, "Oh my God, what's next?" So you sound like a sing-along crew, and I have to tell you this, a warning. In each seat is an electrical sensor. And if you don't sing, we're going to see you mop up. It's true, it's true. So whatever you do, make some noise. Okay, I know you will, I can feel it. So let's pay tribute to all the dads who had to listen to those nonsense lyrics, those immortal lyrics of our own crew cuts, one of the really pioneers in pop music. So sing along with us, will you? Here we go.
Ding-dong, a-lang, shaboom-ba-do, ba-doo-ba-doo-day. Life could be a dream if I could take you up to paradise above. If you would tell me I'm the only one that you love, life could be a dream, sweetheart.
Hello, hello again.
Shaboom, shaboom, ya-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, shaboom, shaboom, ya-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, shaboom, shaboom, ya-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, shaboom.
Excuse me, can help you.
I'm just cleaning up.
I think you're at the wrong show.
Oh, people there.
There is.
Well, I'll just wait a little bit and I'll come back, okay?
All right.
But don't make a mess.
All right.
I got my eyes on you.
Yeah, I don't really know where she came from. Everything exploded in the 50s. To my mind, it was one of the great turning points in terms of things happening. There was supersonic speed, there was television, there was the Cold War, there were maiden-form bras. My wife asked me to point that out. And only a certain age understands what I'm talking about. The birth rate exploded. The Edsel exploded. That's a Ford car, those that don't know. I won't say anymore. But for us it was the music. We lived in St. Thomas, and we were across the lake from the birth, really, of rock and roll, Cleveland. And so we had access to many sounds. We had the big bands coming through, we had the crooners coming through, all my brothers and sisters' music. But the teenagers, we heard something coming from Cleveland. There's something different coming. We heard Big Joe Turner singing Shake, Rattle, and Roll. We heard Clyde McPhatter and the Platters, Money Honey. And we knew something was shaking. Something was different from across the way. And so we started to listen to that music. And we would go to this is a St. Thomas joke, we would go to the House of Music. And actually it was the House family, H-O-W-S-E. So that's a St. Thomas joke, House of Music. And we would listen to some of these new recordings that were coming out. And they had a little booth. I don't know how many remember these stores. But you could go in a booth and had a big open window so no hanky-panky would go on. And you could take the little 45 record and take it in there and listen to it in there until the owner decided you were just mooching and sent you on your way. It was a marvelous time. And let's take a look at kind of how the change happened. If you take a look at 54, the great songs of my sister and brother, my sister Doreen loved Secret Love by Doris Day. Once I had a secret love, beautiful, beautiful song. Rosemary Clooney, Hey There, but they were not our songs. They were beautiful songs, but they weren't ours. I don't know if anybody remembers Johnny Ray. Anybody? He was a tortured singer. He would writhe and get on the floor, and I thought something's going on with this guy too. But really, what you see happen is the Crew Cuts hit it right here. They're considered one of the first haircut groups. They went by their name was their haircut. And of course, you know who came along in the 60s. And another black group called the Marcells. Now, the black groups couldn't get played on white radio. It was called racial music. So we were having a hard time getting those great groups. In fact, Shaboom was originally sung by the Chords, and it was called Life Could Be a Dream. And then the Crew Cuts took it, and Pat, you know this, Pat Boone did a lot of it. He covered those black music. Now I'm told the Chords said were not unhappy. They bought a lot of Cadillacs from the Crew Cuts singing that song for them on white radio. So they kind of broke into the top 10. But we still liked the crooners. We still liked great music. That wasn't the end. We liked Tony Bennett, the great Nat King Cole, who sang with those velvet songs. Frank Sinatra, they were so great, those great artists, that they lasted.
My turn. I came from a one-room school just outside of Sparta to the big high school of St. Joe's, and 140 kids. I was just overwhelmed by this. And every day, the farm kids took the big bus to school and drop us off in front of the bus. And so I'd hear these, kids running, oh, here comes the farm kids. Did you hear the one about the farmer's daughter? And, I didn't understand. It irritated me. And then there was only one other French family in that school. And we only spoke French at home. And and then there was the French jokes. Oh, ooh la la, Frenchy, give me a French kiss. I didn't know what they were talking about. You didn't either. I know that. Anyways, Like in our parties at home, we sang French songs, and then we played the fiddle, we played the piano, I played the spoons, and we square danced. Well, we didn't play records. Like, we weren't really cool. I could see that. I was different, and I was miserable. Until one day, my new best friend, Noreen, and I were walking down the hallway, and
I know I'd go from rags to riches.
I love that song.
If you would only say
Tony
you care.
here in St. John's. Who is that?
That's just Larry Regan.
Darling, je vous aime beaucoup. Je ne sais pas I was good enough.
No.
Wish my French was good enough. I'd tell you so much more.
Steady. You and me, we can steady. Oui, oui.
Oui, oui.
Out of the halls, you kids.
Aw,
You back
you
to
again.
class. Come on, you're making a mess in here, and I gotta clean it up.
While we're singing Shaboom Shaboom and these songs that you see, down in Memphis, Tennessee, an independent recording company was cutting a disc for a young 19-year-old. This year marks the 61st anniversary of Elvis's first official recording, That's All Right. We didn't know much about him in '54, but he was bubbling down there. And we knew something was happening in the South. And he came. As you will see in the show, he was coming north. That's for sure. So let's take a look at 1955 and see what happened. We see Fats Domino made it. You made me cry when we said goodbye. That's a clear Fats Domino. That's it. And then you had Sinatra, an amazing guy. How many decades? 7? Sinatra? So the great ones lasted. It didn't matter. The Four Aces with the beautiful Love's a Many Splendid Thing, and the great Platters. But really, the record that historians say, even more than the crew cuts, made a difference. It sold over 1 million. It was by an unlikely rocker. He's an older guy with a kiss curl in his head. He wore a bad plaid jacket. His group was called the Comets, but that man could rock. And of course it was Bill Haley and the Comets, and we really let loose to rock around the clock.
2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
Yeah! It's interesting that we also still like to sing along, as you will see. So another current of music coming over us. And this gentleman, we ran off his words actually at our party so we could sing along with him.
Not yet, Larry.
No, who am I doing now? Oh, sorry, Mitch Miller. There's so many currents coming, I'm getting loose in the head. But really, there was this sexy, sensual sound coming through our crystal sets. And it was different. And it said, dance close, dance close. And the great bird groups, the flamingos, the robins, and the orioles. brought their doo-wop to us. And the nuns didn't like doo-wop. Because they didn't want us dancing close. They used to say, leave room for the Holy Ghost. And for those who don't know, the Holy Ghost is like God's highway patrol. And as you will see, we're going to take you to a sock hop at St. Joseph's High School in 1954, and we'll see what we tried to do. We slipped in some doo-wop records into the playlist, The Great Earth Angel by the Penguins. So girls, get your guys, please, for Sadie Hawkins. These poor sisters, what are you going to do? So now I go to the man I'm trying to talk about. We started to sing along. Right? And there he is, the goatee, Mitch Miller. And he sold lots of records. A lot of people singing along. Do you remember the bouncing ball? You know, that you see. And we would sing along, and we loved him. And he had a million-seller hit in 1955, and we want to pay homage to him. So let's let them hear us down at the Grand Theater tonight. And let's sing along with Mitch. I don't have a bouncing ball, but the gals are going to go like this behind me. To Yellow Rose in Texas. And this is a great singing group, so let's knock it out. Here we go.
There's a yellow rose in Texas that I am going to see. Nobody else can kiss her, not half as much as me. She cried so when I left her, it's like to broke my heart. And if I ever find her, we never more will part. Sweetest little rosebud that Texas ever knew. Her eyes are bright as diamonds, they sparkle like the dew. You can talk about your Clementine and sing of Rosalie, but the yellow rose of Texas is the only girl for me.
Is that okay, Mitch? It's all right. It's all right. So, we have 1956. If you can see, we have Doris Day, but that Doris Day had terrific staying power. Que Sera just kept going. A great song and a great artist, it doesn't matter, right? Les Baxter, the poor people. How many remember Goldie Grant? The way it would win is the rest that goes to one. I want to tell you something. A lot of people know that song. And Nelson Rowe is a great name, but here he comes at 1, 2, and 8. Unheard of, really. The king, Elvis Presley, has arrived.
The auditorium there. It was April 1st, 1957. My sister and I were there. We were teaching. I was a first-year teacher, 18 years old, and we were chaperoning these wild, screaming teenagers. We were so professional and prim and proper. Oh, these girls, what Elvis. When you started one for the money, and you were really just like, oh, you waved at me. I remember Elvis, my favorite song is Love Me Tender.
Love me tender. Love me tender. And I love you so. Sing along. Love me tender, love me true, all my dreams fulfill. For my darling, I love you, and I always will. Thank you very much. So, another king has arrived, King Elvis, and there's the ticket. If I could see that here again. This ticket, Denyse owns this. Half the ticket. Anybody here ever go to the Buffalo Lodge? So you remember it. It was a barn. Yeah. And the Sabres played there. And Elvis was at his prime. Denyse saw him when he was Elvis. When he was Elvis. He was about 24, 25. He was moving. There is the ticket.
I forgot to show you. Elvis saw it. He was so proud. $50.
$2.50. What would that get you at one of his Vegas shows? The washroom, maybe? Yeah. It's a fabulous piece of memorabilia. I don't know what we're going to do with it. We keep worrying that we're lost it. Another influence. In St. Thomas, we were so lucky to have to be able to hear some of the greatest artists going. The great singers, the great bands. We heard Ray Anthony, we heard Count Basie, we heard Lionel Hampton, who shook that place. And it was a 4,000 person dance hall in Port Stanley, Ontario. And it had lovely lighting. I remember it had dark corners, which was kind of nice. It had like low lighting back there. The interesting part about the Stork Club is that they had no liquor license. Port Stanley was dry, that county. And so it was very odd to have this big dance hall and we couldn't sell any liquor in there. Well, you know what happened. We'll show you one of the things that happened. This is what this is called a Mickey. For those of you who don't remember or weren't around. What I always liked about it, it sat in that pocket so beautifully, right? And so that's what happened at the Stork Club. You'd see people and they'd be walking like this. And the OPP were there, but I don't know, they didn't seem to care. I'm a 14-year-old kid, for God's sake. And my brother's shirt on, way up here, the sweater over my fingers, and a very bad fitting sports coat. And he had these campfire ties I hated, but I wore them to get into the Stork Club. It's a beautiful memory, and it brought all to us, all those great artists. And a couple of members of our cast are going to share their memories.
Hi, my name is Susan Dean, and I have a Port Stanley memory because my mother was born here in London. My dad was in Windsor. They met at a weenie roast in Port Stanley on the beach, and something clicked. And so my dad would come to London to take the LNPS, which was the London and Port Stanley Rail. That was the way you got to Port Stanley in those days. I see some heads nodding like they know. So I think love bloomed at that time, and they enjoyed the sounds of the sweetest music, This Side of Heaven, by Lombardo, Under the Mirrored Ball, dancing and falling in love, and a happy marriage that lasted 48 years.
I'm Sandra Bedard, Sam.
memories of the Historic Club come because my father and mother had a butcher shop and a catering business in Aylmer and St. Thomas. And because of that, we were in and out of the Historic Club quite often for years. But the first time I was there for pleasure was when my sister had a wedding reception there. And so it's the first time for me to be in a wedding party. I was the maid of honor. First time I was at the Historic Club to dance, and it was the first time I had a dance with my father. And my biggest memory of that night is that huge mirrored ball and going and the music. And that doesn't quite do it for me because the light was just sparkling. It was much better than disco, I can tell you that. For anybody that's interested in reuse and recycle, the Historic Club, after it burned and they finally shut everything down, some parts of it were sold, and there's an earth house somewhere here in South Ontario that has Historic Club flooring for its floors and part of its ceilings.
One artist touched me in the 50s. It didn't touch a lot of teenagers, but he spoke to me. He said, Larry, it's going to be okay. One night I was there when he was appearing, and I was walking behind the stage. Those of you who know the Historic Club, it was a round stage and you could go behind it through. And I was coming through one day just to go somewhere to see somebody, and I felt something here in the dark, and somebody was standing there. And I don't know why, but I backed over there, and of course it was my hero, Louis Armstrong. And he was having a cigarette. And he was all alone. He's just a working stiff, having a cigarette. No posse, no PR, no bodyguards, just Louis having a cigarette. And I shuffled toward him and I said something inane like, you know, nice to meet you, you know, as I got closer. But he just smiled. He didn't say anything. He just smiled, and I stumbled and bumbled my way back through. But that was a big highlight for me. So today we're going. Louis and Elvis are still alive. You know that, eh? You're looking at. And Louis can appear if things go right. Isn't he beautiful? Is there anybody that makes you smile like that man? And you can see why he spoke to me. But Louis will come. Thank you, Shelley. Ladies and gentlemen, Shelley. Louis will come if we invite him. So we're going to try to sing a duet. We will sing a duet. He will appear. I'm sure he's going to come. So if you would help with the first verse of this song, we hope Louis will come for the second, then you will help with the third, and he will take us home. Is that okay, Louis? It's all right. So please, let's see if we can bring Louis into the Procunier Hall in London, Ontario. What a wonderful world. Everybody together and try to get him to come. Trees of green, red roses too, I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see sky blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, God's sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Sing that third one for me. The colors of the rainbow, pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people of mine. I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. And I'll think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah. Oh, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, yeah. Well, it's hard to believe, but we're coming to the end of Act 1. And it's been so enjoyable with you today. Anne-Marie Moore is our musical director. Please welcome Anne-Marie. Also, as you can see, our stagehand. Gee, John, what the heck? Anne-Marie will introduce a song to you that really sums up and evokes the magic of the 1950s in such a beautiful way to close this first act. So this song will close the act.
So this song was written by a gentleman named Jesse Winchester, who was not a 50s generation songwriter, more of a Bob Dylan era. But this song is very nostalgic of the shaboom and the shamalings and the shadig dong of the 50s.
The summer night we met, you were turning 17. Oh, how could I forget? And all the stars from near and far were watching from above, watching two teenagers fall in love. The way we danced was not a dance, but more a long embrace. We held on to each other and we floated there in space. And I was shy to kiss you while the whole wide world could see. So Chamberlain said everything for me. Thought we lost our minds. They could not make head or tails of these young folks' funny rhymes. But we knew every word, and yes, we always sang along to Chamberlain, don't ding, Chamberlain, ding. So after years and after tears and after summers past, the old folks tried to warn us that our love would never last. But all we get was soaking wet while walking in the rain and singing Shabba-ling-a-ding. Thought we lost our minds, but I bet they did some shabba-lam-a-ding-dong in their time. And I bet that they still close their eyes, and I bet they sing along to Shabba-ling-dong-ding, Shabba-ling-ding.
of the night. I held you, held you tight, 'cause I love you so. Promise I'll never let you go. Still of the night, in the still of the night. This is the case of the missing chairs. Do you think that King lady got them? I think our union fella his time is up.
Oh, yes, sorry. Comes the other chair.
Thank you.
I came from a French Catholic home where you didn't swear, and we couldn't wear shorts, and you couldn't talk about sex. You couldn't think until, so then one day my mom and I were rolling bread dough in the kitchen, and we were chatting, and she knew I was hanging out with Larry, so she was asking me about him, and we were chatting, and she asked about the dances and the parties, and then she turned to me and she says, "Now, Denyse, you remember, if you play with matches, you're going to get burned." That was my sex education. One sentence, that was it. You know, I really think that's why to this day I have never smoked a cigarette. So,
Well, sex was repressed in your family.
yes, and it was a big mystery. It was especially in my mom's, it was worse in my mom's time. They didn't know. Wow, but she had 14 kids. It's still a big mystery. So as you'll see.
We will see a scene now from a play, a short scene that Denyse has written called The 13th One. Denyse is the 13th of 14 children. And it's 1938, if you close your eyes, and we'll go back to 1938. We're in a farm kitchen in Ely, Manitoba. The scene opens with Mary Louise, Denyse's mother, a struggling mother of 12 children, welcoming 2 visitors. Her friend Annette, who also has a large family. Over tea, they both share their troubles with Mrs. Day, the rich, childless English woman from the village who desperately wants a baby. The 2 mothers desperately want to stop having babies. Mrs. Day is shocked at their methods of birth control. And the 2 mothers are shocked at what they hear come from the mouth of Mrs. Day.
Oh, Madame.
Hello. Thank you.
Welcome. Bonjour, Marie-Louise. Bon ami.
May I hold your little one? Thank you.
Now, Annette, why you bring me back my buggy? I won't need it anymore ever again.
I won't need it either. No more babies for me. That buggy, it makes me nervous.
doing these days?
Same old thing, celibacy, living like brother and sister. That's the only way. Otherwise, every year, there's another baby. My husband, he is very miserable.
Now, what else do we do? My Freddie, he's miserable all of it.
So, celibacy, living like brother and sister, you mean no sex?
See that word?
What word? Sex? You obviously do it. Why not say it?
Oh, it's forbidden.
Let's try it, Marie-Louise. What to say it? Sex? Sex! If we say it, we might have to do it.
That's right. Now, you know what? Just last Sunday, our parish priest, he asked me again, so, Madame, when is the next one coming? So I look at him and I asked him a question. I say, Father, did anybody ask the Blessed Virgin Mary that question? His mouth dropped like that. I said, didn't she have an easy life? Just one cute little boy.
You know, Madame, I have been in the family way or nursing for 15 years.
And me, it's been 17 years. Nursing or in the family way, non-stop.
So, you mean you've been pregnant or nursing nonstop for 15 years and 17 years for you?
But you can say that word.
What word?
That's a
Pregnant? Another forbidden word?
There are many forbidden. There are, but you know what? We would really like to know, how do the English do it? They only have 1 or 2 children.
Really? How do they not have babies?
You know, I don't know, and I don't really care. All I know is that my husband and I are trying very hard to make babies.
Well, listen, Marie-Louise, I went to a wedding last weekend and I found a way to say no to our husbands.
Really? Something new?
Come to my house tomorrow, I
will.
explain it all to you. It's called rhythm. You know, like that song? I got rhythm.
I got my man, who could ask for anything more?
Hello, ladies. Barb and I, we've been listening to you, and we're here to tell you that there's something new coming your way.
And I think Loretta Lynn said it best.
You wined me and you dined me when I was your girl.
Promise if I'd be your wife, you'd show me the world.
All these years, you've stayed at home and he's had all the fun. And every year that passes by, another baby's come.
Mini skirts and hot pants. And a few little fancy frills. You're making up for all those years. Now you've got the pill.
This chicken's done torn up her nest, and she's ready to make a deal. And he can't afford to turn it down, because you know she's got the pill.
It's getting dark, it's roosting time. Tonight's too good to be real. But oh, Daddy, don't you worry none, 'cause Mama's got the pill. Oh, Daddy, don't you worry none, 'cause Mama's got the pill.
Boy, that's some baby buggy, isn't it? You put twins in there, I think. the middle years came for us. They were kind of a blur. We had babies. Our first baby was 9 months and 3 days. Shoo. In the 60s. And then Denyse is back there trying to come and tell you about the rest of it. Where she is. So I will. So we had a beautiful family. We had Julie, Joanne, and Lori. Two of our daughters here tonight. My daughter Lori and my daughter Joanne. Julie. Mea culpa. Lori was here this afternoon. And our granddaughter Megan is here. And who else do I have here?
Hey.
Oh, my granddaughter Regan. I wasn't sure you were coming here. And Adam, we welcome you. Lauren's back here, and Kane is here. There's Kane. So all of those folks are here. We're so happy to have Denyse. Now, Denyse had a special way to get attention. Her family of 14 played the guitar, they played the violin. All of them could do something. So how was she going to get any attention in her family? Well, she found a way. She looked for things in the kitchen, in the garage, in the barn, anything she could add to herself to make herself more attractive. And her dad, at her house when I went there, you had chansons à répondre. You didn't have music books, like Papa Gervais would sing, da 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 da. And you sang back to him. Now, in my first few days, I could never hear anything, so I would just answer a French hockey player name. So he'd say, Emile Bouchard, Emile Bouchard. I did all right with that for a while, until Louis gave me the hard eye one night, the oldest brother. So this is a chansons à répondre, and Marie-Madeleine is very shy, and we need to help her. And I promised her that if she would come out, and this is a premiere in London to see her, if you would respond en français. If you don't know what she's saying, say French hockey player's name. But they have to be from 1954. So that would test your knowledge. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Marie-Madeleine. Try again, let's welcome Marie-Madeleine. Hello, Marie.
I'm scared.
What are you scared about?
No, can I bring my friends?
Well, if you got some friends, bring them along, sure.
It's des Français.
Oui, say oui. Okay, let's try it. We'll try and bring her out. Please help her. Marie-Madeleine.
Marie-Madeleine en jambe de bois.
Marie-Madeleine, une jambe de bois.
Une jambe de bois.
Une jambe de bois.
Un pied mariton.
Un pied mariton.
Un pied mariton, Madeleine. Un pied mariton, Madeleine. Marie-Madeleine a une cuisse de velours. Cuisse de velours. Cuisse de velours. Cuisse de velours. Une jambe de bois. Une jambe de bois. Un pied mariton. Pied mariton. Pied mariton, Madeleine. Un pied mariton, Madeleine. Marie-Madeleine a un ventre d'acier.
Marie-Madeleine, un ventre d'acier.
Un ventre d'acier.
Un ventre d'acier.
Une cuisse de velours.
Une cuisse de velours.
Une jambe de bois.
Une jambe de bois.
Marie-Madeleine a des bras en caoutchouc.
Marie-Madeleine, bras en caoutchouc.
Des bras en caoutchouc.
Des bras en caoutchouc.
D'acier.
Un ventre d'acier.
Une cuisse
Une cuisse de velours. Une jambe de bois.
Pied mariton.
Pied mariton.
Pied mariton, Madeleine. Pied mariton, Madeleine. Un coup, un petit
Good Marie Madeleine,
want to say, Christ the Lord, Jean de Bois, Emeriton, Emeriton, Madeleine, Emeriton, Madeleine.
Marie Madeleine, das, Simon.
Marie Madeleine, dans Simon.
Das,
I want to say, Christ the Lord, Jean de Bois, Emeriton, Emeriton, Madeleine, Emeriton, Madeleine.
Madeleine. Oh, des fesses de diamant.
Festigello.
Un festival de fesses. Jean de Bois.
Jean de Bois, Emeriton, Emeriton, Madeleine, Emeriton, Madeleine.
Now Denyse wants to mention all the families.
All right.
So I'll get heck if this doesn't happen. So,
You're just my turn.
okay.
We were married on Boxing Day in December of 1960. And 9 months and 2 days later,
2 days. of
Julie arrived.
That's
Beautiful baby. Then Joanne arrived, and then Lori arrived. And so I'm going to tell you, if you want girls, just practice rhythm. 3 rhythm girls. So now, then a little girl came into our life when she was about 7, and so she's our 4th daughter. Her name is Lori Lynn. So we have now 8 grandchildren. We have Lauren, Dan, Regan, and Megan, Sarah, Kane, Eden, and Fisher. Wonderful grandkids. So now, what am I doing?
You are leaving. I'm glad I didn't see that for a couple years before I met. This last part of the show, each cast member will share with you reflections on past and present, on people and events that have moved them, on challenges and blessings of our present day and our present age. And I'm going to start, so Henry's going to come, and we will get set up, and I'll tell you about it. Thanks, Henry. At my age, I find myself missing my father, and what I would like to have done with him is sit on a porch and be a man with him. His generation worked so hard. He worked hard. He was a good man and a good provider, but he didn't have much time for sitting on the porch. And so I think about what if I could, as a man now, sit and talk man to man with him. What a blessing it would be. So I brought my father with me. I brought my father with me. I hope that you don't mind. I couldn't find it in me to make him stay behind. The snow is falling, the trees are white and old, their heavy branches bending. Can we come in from the cold? I brought my father with me, though it's been many years. Train trips to Detroit, Mom's lunch and Tiger cheer, a bowl haircut in the basement. It stung the rest of the day. I brought my father with me. Turnabouts, fair play. He loved to hear the singing of each night's kitchen crew. Then round the bed for rosary we knelt down 2 by 2. His first car, a '63 Falcon, just before he died, he would shine it in the driveway till it would blind the eye. There are some ways I'm just like him, some ways he's just like me. And sometimes when the mirror's dim, it's clear to see. Tonight the winds of heaven blow the stars across the sky. Brought my father with me. I couldn't say goodbye. Tonight the winds of heaven blow the stars across the sky. I brought my father with me. I couldn't say goodbye. These are some of the funny things of our life, too.
Yes, yes. We first met the Bickersons at our daughter's house. Her and her husband had the two boy and the girl are very, very close in age. And oh, they were so competitive when they were little. Mine is fast. No, mine's bigger. Oh, no. So we'd walk in their house and the mom and dad would roll their eyes and say, oh, the Bickersons are here. So one day we were at a soccer game watching their cousin play soccer. It was hot, we were tired and bored, and Larry was there, and the boy was on this side, the girl, and they were so close to me. It was hot, and we had shorts on, and we were sticky and sweating. And I could hear them. They were bickering. No, mine's the best. And I look over. They're playing with my flaps. So then when they start flapping my thighs, I said, okay, kids, game over. You're not too far. But somebody yesterday told me after the show, her grandkids called those her waterways.
I think that's pretty graceful, yeah.
But you know, we don't bicker.
I think we do bicker.
We do not. It's too cold in here.
It's too darn hot in here. Turn that darn thing down.
Or I'm saying, why are you going that way?
I know the shortest way. Would you please stop?
In the car, eh? Oh my God, it goes on and on. So one day we were, it was a Sunday afternoon, and he's ensconced in that recliner, one game after another, and I've got this to-do list. And Sarah, our granddaughter's there. So I said, Larry, could you kind of work yourself out of that recliner and come and help me with this, this, and this. So then...
Well, you know what it's like getting out of those recliners. You have to push your bum out and pull your bum back. And one day for sure I'm going to go charging right into the television. And actually I heaved and hoved and hugged and finally got up. And our granddaughter Sarah, with a Jack Benny kind of look at me, she said, "That's an extreme sport for you, isn't it?"
Well, like Larry, I have a story about my dad. In 1997, he turned 90 years old. Larry. And my siblings and I decided we would like to commemorate the occasion with a special brunch with his family and friends. My mom had since died about 13 years ago, so we wanted to make sure that this was something that we commemorated. So we had a brunch in Windsor at a restaurant, and he had the smile on his face the whole day. It was wonderful to experience the love in the room. So I wrote a poem and I read it at that time, and I'd like to share it with you tonight. It's called Ode to a Granddad. Here we are in Windsor to chant the hymn to life, to celebrate this milestone in Aaron Katzman's life, to have a chance to tell him how much he means to us and help him blow the candles out so we can make a fuss. In celebrating 90 years, that's quite a goal to reach. We're here to help him party down and listen to him teach us how he did it all these years. The verve, the kick, the zest. A life with riches we can count, a family the best. The one sad part, for all we know, was when Mom passed away. She left a legacy of love to help us find the way to make the journey on our own when she was not around, to guide us in our daily life, to find the strength she found. But carry on without her is what we do with love. And think how lucky we all are to have our dad to love. Dad's been blessed with such good health, we can't believe the genes the Katzmans have within their pools. We're hoping that this means that we'll be lucky in our lives, in our advancing years, so we can relish life in full and calm our unknown fears. Dad worked hard to make it good with help from Mom and Lou. A salesman to the core, that's Dad, and one who likes to chew the fat and tell a joke or two. His memory is amazing. He gets a kick when you've been told a punchline that is brazen. A yoga master, that's what keeps him limber and in shape. To carry on with younger friends who just can't keep the pace. In Florida at Ethel's side is where he likes to be when winter comes to Canada and snowbirds love to flee. The cold and dreary days when we just freeze our tushies outright. But Boca's where the action is, and Aaron's in the spotlight. So raise a toast to Dad today, Aaron, who is the great. A man I'm proud to call my dad, and one who I can't wait to put my arms around him and say, I love you so much, Dad, and hope you know the room is full of people who are glad to know you and to share with you. A laugh, a tear, that's part of wishing only things for you that glow within your heart. Now, we were very, very lucky to have my dad for another 6 years. He was around for 96 years. And even when he was sick and in the hospital, he was still joking around, telling brazen jokes and trying to make everyone laugh. And that's the legacy he left. And we're so lucky as a family to have had that experience with my dad for 96 years.
Good evening, my name is Brenda, and my story I hope will be an inspiration for all of us seniors in our creative years. My story is about my next door neighbor, Jack. I met him when he was 80, and I moved into my house, but he had lived in the house next door all his life. Actually, he grew up there as a young boy, and then later on lived there with his own family. Jack was a very friendly neighbor and always was willing to help me with the garden, but his garden was immaculate. He had the best garden ever. His lawn was perfect, his hedge was very even, he had the most beautiful flower beds, and he put all of us neighbors to shame. But he was willing to lend tools. I always borrowed his stepladder all the time. He was an active guy. He liked to bowl, and even though he had a car, he liked to walk everywhere. After his wife passed away, he had a girlfriend, and he would walk over to her house and pick her up, and I'd see them strolling down the street together. He liked to sing and dance. So I went to visit Jack at Parkwood Hospital. He moved there 5 years ago as he was a veteran in the Navy. I went to visit him last year on his 100th birthday. And I went to his room and he wasn't there. And I wondered, uh-oh, where's Jack? So I asked the nurses and they said, oh, he's down in the arts and crafts room. Well, I went, oh, okay. So down I went and there he was, sitting in front of a very large loom, just weaving away. I said, oh, Jack, what are you doing? And he said, oh, I'm making placemats and table runners. We sell them in the gift shop. And I went, oh, great, wow. But whatever possessed you to start weaving at the age of 100? He thought for a moment and he said, well, you know, when I was a young man, I used to come home from school and I'd flop down on the bed or the couch. My father came in and said to me, Jack, you know, you should always keep busy. If you want to live a long and healthy life, keep your mind and body active. I guess Jack's father was right. Recently, when I went to Parkwood to visit him, he had this picture taken. I saw his biography on the wall of his years in the Navy. And at the bottom, someone had asked Jack if he had any words of wisdom for the rest of us. He said, memorize important dates. I'm thinking he meant anniversaries and birthdays. Go to church, get married, keep busy. Wise words, I would say, from a man who is soon to be 101.
I love to bake, and about 15, 20 years ago, I started to bake bread. And the reason for that is because I miss my grandmother. Now, for most of my young years when I was growing up, we'd go to spend summers at my grandmother's, and she had a big, huge wood stove. Until the 80s, actually, when she packed up and moved from Newfoundland to British Columbia. That's another story. We always had home-baked bread. While I was there, for some reason, I developed a taste for raw dough. And I'd be hiding in the kitchen, waiting for her back to be turned, run in, grab a piece, and disappear. And after a while, she caught on. So she would just wait for me to show up, take a piece, give it to me, and tell me to get out of my kitchen. But anybody that's ever smelled bread baking can tell you there is nothing to compare to that smell. So I started baking it, remembering my grandmother. And eventually my kids grew up and started having children, and my granddaughter likes to get up like anybody else and help with Grandma. And one day I was telling her this story while she was rolling out her own little loaf of bread, excuse me. And she looked at me when I finished it and said, "Grandma, this is the way I'm going to remember you too." And yes, I still do sneak pieces of raw.
My name is Shelley Levi, and growing up, I would hear my mom spell it. Levi. Levi. You know, like the jeans. I had an amazing mom. She was strong-willed, intelligent, and hardworking, yet loving and thoughtful and very creative. She loved to sing and dance, and she had a beautiful voice. She was asked to be a jazz singer, but she politely declined and said, "No, thank you. I want to be a registered nurse." So she was a very classy lady, well-mannered and smartly dressed. And I grew up nurtured and cultured, with an appreciation for learning as well as a respect for the arts. And so I took ballet with Dorothy Scruton, the National Academy of Dance here in London, and I danced my way across the stage at the age of 10 in 1967 to the opening ceremonies at Centennial Hall. And then I found myself at 11 at Stratford Festival, watching William Hutt portray Tartuffe. I was so close, I could see the spit coming from his mouth. That really impressed me. And then, Liberace. When I went to see Liberace, he was high on a pedestal-like stage, so close I could almost touch him. And there he was in his smiling, glittering glory. I took piano lessons too, but I didn't like to practice much. That's when I'd go off and play with my dolls. I really wanted to be a mom when I grew up. But in our household, my mother said, education first. So off I go to university. And then it was my professional years, working as a scientist. Then I was blessed with my 5 children. I did continue my education. It took me 15 years, but I did complete a master's. And then I figured, well, that's enough of that. At this point, I'm going to hang up that lab coat, and I want to pursue theater. But my mom wasn't really happy about that. She was an intelligent, educated woman, and very much a fan of David Suzuki. So it was about that time too, a university college friend of mine that writes textbooks for the engineering students, applied math textbooks actually, but also loved theater himself. In fact, was a real fan of Shakespeare. He said to me, "Shelley, it's okay. We're just those kind of people that like to use both sides of our brain." I thought, okay, my mom's not going to argue with scientific evidence. But she was a real hard nut to crack. It wasn't until I finally said, "Mom, I really can't help it if I love to sing and dance and act. It's innate in me. It's in my Levi genes." So I would like to invite all of you and my theater sisters to sing a very favorite song that my mom and myself and my sister would sing many, many times growing up. Doris Day, Que Sera Sera.
When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I This was her wise reply. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera. Now I have children of my own. They ask their mother, what will I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? I tell them tenderly. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera, sera.
Hello, my name is Gerda, and I would like to tell you a little bit about my grandmother, my Oma, as she was called by us. She was born, I'm taking you really far away from this part of the world. She was born in 1889 in the Crimea. And she lived a very pleasant early life of piano and singing and learning poetry. And things got very difficult after the Russian Revolution, during which time it was very difficult to survive. She did survive, but she lost her husband and 3 sons. They were taken to the Russian Gulag in Siberia, never to be seen again. So she did suffer a lot. She came to Canada with her daughters, so that's good for me. Anyway, she did live to a ripe old age. She lived to be 110 years old. And she finished her life in Niagara-on-the-Lake, not a bad place to finish. And she left us with her memoir, for which I am so profoundly grateful. It's just wonderful to have something concrete that you can always refer to. And on the subject of memoirs and just the future, I'm going to switch a little bit to the future. I have a favorite excerpt from my favorite author, one of my favorite authors, I have a lot, Anne Lamott, and I'm going to give it to you now. It's a bit of a carpe diem. So, what if you wake up one day and you're 65 or 75 and you haven't written your memoir or your novel? Or maybe you didn't go swimming in pools and oceans because of your jiggly thighs or your big round comfortable tummy? Or perhaps you were so strung out on perfectionism that you forgot to have a big juicy creative life of imagination, radical silliness, and staring into space like when you were a kid. It's going to break your heart. Don't let this happen. Maybe the words of Anne Lamott. Thank you.
I'm always pumped up when I follow her. You know? Big juicy life. I like that.
I don't know about your houses, but a good part of every day at our house is a search party. Where are the keys? Where's that book? Where's the glasses? Where's the pen?
Where's my hat?
Yeah. It's just part of our life now. So anyways.
I'm thinking of installing cameras in the house. Oh, there it is. There.
So, all right, just last year, we were in Florida, and we were there for a month, so first day there, we go and get a big load of groceries.
Publix,
yes. And so now, we're heading to the car, and look over, oh gosh, here it goes.
You've got the keys in your purse.
No, you were driving, you.
No, you said I can safely keep those keys.
Okay, no keys. So we go back into the store and look everywhere.
Look in the bananas.
Look at
Lift up the asparagus.
every aisle we're in. So then we go to the customer service. So
You know how you ask them for the announcement about your lost keys? They go, ladies and gentlemen, back, okay, change your keys.
So we wait and we wait. Nobody's got the keys, so we still keep looking. Oh, it's over an hour now. So, okay, what are we going to do? I've got extra keys at home, so I call a very good friend. Oh, yeah, I'll go get them. So she gets the keys, and now she's coming to our car. So now we say, okay, we can go to the
We'll
car.
go over to the car, yeah.
All right, so here we go, we're walking. As we walk, click, click, the lights of our car are clicking on off.
And I had heard down in Florida that if they find your keys, they'll go in the parking lot and click until they find the car. So I said, I'm going to go and hide behind that pickup over there and I'll spy.
And you get them. I said, you get them.
I didn't know what I'd do if I saw them.
Well, tackle them. That's
Yeah, I hope so.
So all right, I go wait for the keys. So my friend comes, bless her heart, I get the keys.
Not very happy, our friend, by the way.
Oh,
He was happy.
so now we head back to the car and there it is.
Well, you think
Click
it's
again.
still
Where
clicking.
is this dude out here somewhere? All right.
Jump in quickly.
Yes, and watching, we think he's going to follow us, that bad guy. Anyways, we get home to the safety of our place. So now we have lunch, and then after lunch, I'm in the kitchen, and I hear the voice that I recognize as a confession voice.
Denyse.
He's holding up the keys and one shoe, his size 13 shoes.
So what I do at Publix every year when I go there, they have a scale can weigh Jumbo the elephant. How many know it? It's a big round thing. So what I do to start off my holiday is my weight. So I take everything out of my pockets. I take the keys, I take my wristwatch, I take my wallet, and I put them in my shoe. After I am done, I take them out of my shoe, and away I go. Little did I know the keys had lodged in the toe. So as I walked along, I was clicking the car. So the moral of the story,
wear sandals.
Hi. My name is Barbara, and I wrote a poem a few years ago, so I'd like to read it to you today. And it's entitled, What Am I? What am I? I am a survivor. Well, I have survived. So what am I? I'm a wannabe. I want to be an artist. I want to be an actor. I want. When will I see that I am just a wannabe? So, what am I now? I'm a person filled with indecision. I'm a person who has vision. I have vision. So what am I now? I'm a person before my time. I'm a person who absolutely no run. So what am I now? I'm a person who flows like poetry. I'm a person. I guess I'm just
Carol. And like tonight's show, my life has been filled with music and dance, so many happy memories, and we tend, when we get to be our age, to go back a lot to our beautiful memories. And my first musical memory was at my grandmother's house. And I must have been in the kitchen or something, because I remember hearing these beautiful voices and my grandmother playing the piano. And it was my mom and her sisters, and Grammy was playing and singing. And I remember running in, and I was just eye level with the back of my mother's knees, so I know I had to be probably only 3. So the joy that I experienced then made me want to always sing like my mom. And my first memory of a dance, my parents were good dancers, and Dad believed in being very social, which he was. But I was very shy. I was more like my mom that way. And if somebody said the least thing unkind to me, I would either burst into tears or blush, which I considered both of them equally terrible. But I ended up at the school dance, girls on this side, boys on this side, and yeah, we're all standing there, and so eventually a couple of the girls dragged me out on the dance floor. It was a gymnasium, by the way, and I thought, ooh, all of a sudden all I was aware of was the music, and it felt so good, and I could dance. And I thought, oh, for the first time in my life, I don't feel shy. I don't care who's watching me. And that was my first experience with dance. Well, later on, Mom and Dad took me to barn dances, and I think they're called folk dances more now than barn dances. And then I learned to jive. I learned to dance a little bit to jazz, to Latin music, and then of course disco. Oh, love disco. But throughout my life, we listened to music on the radio, and Mom always had it tuned to a country station. So that was, the gospel and the country was really my first love. And as I said, we go back to our pleasant memories. So tonight I would like to sing for you a hymn that was written in the 1920s. Johnny Cash recorded it on Hymns My Mother Taught Me. And it's called I'll Fly Away, and I want you to join in. It's quite, the words are quite simple, and at least you can probably sing the chorus. Some glad morning when this night is o'er, oh, I'll fly away to a home on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. Just a few more weary days and then, oh, I'll fly away to a home where joy shall never end. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to fly away. Yes, yes it is. So, as you can see, our show is called look up from rock and roll to recliner. But as you can see, this cast didn't spend much time in recliner. I mean, they have spent some hours at working at stage, at this stage show. Many have never been in theater before, and so it's been a great pleasure to watch them blossom, and I think that you'll see plenty of them in shows to come. You can bet on that. We try to look up. We decided life is about looking up. When you get up in the morning, you look up to people. You look up to situations. You try to find the best in those around you. So we're going to close with a song by Harry Chapin called All My Life's a Circle. And he talks about sunrise and sundown. Each sunrise, we look up. So I'll invite Anne-Marie to come out. Yes. And I'll ask Harry to leave the lights up. He doesn't know about this, Harry. But this is our last night. So we want to recognize, with your indulgence, some people who really helped us out in this show. First of all, we had 4 gentlemen who were dancers. How many, did you see them come from the audience? These handsome gentlemen were here every show. Every show. And it was very important to us. So I want to ask Bill, Tim, Wayne, and Clyde to come, please. What a contribution they made. We also want to thank some of the people who've helped us. Kathy Stevens came on board and was a blessing as our choreographer and as our cheerleader, our #1 cheerleader, and we'd like to present her with some flowers. Kathy? Henry Moore had to put up with some strange cues, music that was sung before she was born, and you could never fool her. If you said any song to her, in about milliseconds, she had it. It was just so invaluable to us. We would like to present her as well. By the way, she's my niece. And of course, our Do Everything guy, he's somewhere back there. Our director, our producer, our everything. Leave the lights, Harry. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, Harry Edison. So, I'm more trouble with this thing. Put it in a tube. Did I put it on your shoe? What have I done now?
All right.
This thing is 50 years old, by the way. Yeah.
Rising up.
That's a lot of shows.
It's had it, really. Anyway, please help us, as you always have so beautifully tonight, with closing with Harry Chapin's All My Life's a Circle. Let's take the house down. Let's let them hear it at the Grand Theatre, skating at the rink at Victoria Park, in Toronto at the Air Canada Center. And a great audience and great sing-along audience. So here we go. All my life's a circle, sunrise and sundown. Moon rolls through the night time till the daybreak comes around. All my life's a circle, and I can't tell you why. Seasons spinning round again, the years keep rolling by. But it seems like I've been here before, I can't remember when. Got this funny feeling that we'll all be together again. No straight lines make up my life, all my roads have been. No clear-cut beginnings, so far no to end. Here we go now.
All my life's a circle, sunrise and sundown. Moon rolls through the nighttime till the daybreak comes around. All my life's a circle, and I can't tell you why. Seasons spin round again, the years keep rolling by.
It's our time, along life's way, we can build anew. Gifts that we've been given to help each other through. As we travel day by day, we know times will get tough. So when you're feeling down, remember to look up. There we go.
All my life's a circle, sunrise and sundown.
Beautiful.
Moon rolls through the nighttime till the daybreak comes around.
All my life.
All my life's a circle, but I can't tell you why. Seasons spin round again, the years keep rolling by.
Again, now lots of harmony.
And the years keep on